Hi, everyone. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to configure switch security. So please download the packet tracer activity 11.6.1 and let us see how we can actually configure switch security, the different types of commands that we use. Also, we will be configuring DHCP snooping as well. So let's check it out. So this is the given topology to us, and you can see here the addressing table lists two switches SW1 and SW2, which are shown here. And also we have 5 objectives for this particular PT activity. Let me just tell you what the objectives are. The objectives are: we need to create a secure trunk, we need to secure unused switch ports, implement port security, enable DHCP snooping, and configure rapid PVST PortFast and BPDU guard. Okay, so as same, just you can also check out the topology as well. There are 2 switches which are connected to different PCs. And let me just jump on to step 1. So in step 1 instructions, the step 1 is going to deal with creation of a secure trunk. So there are 5 steps here. Once again, A, B, C, D, E. So connect the Z0 by 2 ports of the 2 access layer switches. So these are the 2 access layer switches, SW1 and SW2. I need to connect the Z0 by 2 ports of both these switches. So let me do that first. So for me, the connections are always at the bottom. You can see here, click on this orange colored one, and then you click on the copper straight through cable. You have to click on SW1 first, then click on the G0 by 2 port. And after that, you need to click on the switch 2 as well. And then once again, click on the Z0 by 2 port. So now I have connected both the switches through their Z0 by 2 ports. So coming to the next step, it says configure ports Z0 by 1 and Z0 by 2 as static trunks on both switches. Okay. And then disable DTP negotiation on both sides of the trunk, both sides of the link, and create a VLAN 100 and give it the name native on both switches. So configure all trunk ports on both switches to use VLAN 100 as the native VLAN. So these are the steps that we need to do. I just completed connection of the 2 switches SW1 and SW2 via the Z0 by 2 port. So let me first start with SW1. So let me click on SW1 front of here so that you won't be disturbed. Okay, so let me work on this. So the first thing is enable, and then configure terminal, enter. So it is asking me configure the ports both as trunk ports. So for that, what we need to do is interface the interface range Z0 by 1 to 2. You can see here we can use the range command, which makes our job much more easier. So interface range Z0 by 2, switch port mode trunk. So that is what, and is also saying that you need to disable the DTP negotiation. So for that, switch port no negotiate. You can use the tab to autofill your command. That makes it easier and also saves us from any unnecessary typing mistakes. So switch port no negotiate. This is for the disabling of the DTP negotiation on both sides of the link. Okay. So after that, what we need to do is we need to create a VLAN. So for the, if you remember correctly, the commands that are there to create the VLANs are VLAN 100, enter, name. You can see here N is in the capitals, so NATIVE, native. This is the VLAN that I created, and it is also saying that configure all trunk ports on both switches to use VLAN 100 as the native VLAN. So for that, what I need to do is I need to once again go select the both the interfaces which are so Z0 by 1 to 2, enter, switch port trunk VLAN 100 native. So this is what command that I need to give. So in order to enable this, configure all trunk ports on both switches to use VLAN 100 as the native VLAN. This is the command. Enter. Oh, sorry. Switch port. Give me a second. Trunk switch port trunk VLAN 100. Sorry. Native VLAN 100. Mistake. This is how you need to do it. So switch port trunk native VLAN 100. My mistake. So excuse me for that. So let me do the same configurations on switch 2 as well. So let me click on switch 2. Okay, let me make it big and enable, enter, configure terminal. Okay, so after that, once again, I need to do the same thing, interface, range, Z. So before that, let me do the VLAN creation, because I know what to do. I can do this. So VLAN 100, name, native. And after that, I can simply type in Z interface range Z0 by 122, because these are the two ports that we need to configure as static trunks. And after that, switch port mode trunk, switch port no negotiate, and then switch port trunk, switch port trunk native VLAN 100. So this is how you do it. So step 1 is done. I created a secure link between SW1 and SW2. What I did was I made these two ports Z0 by 1 and Z0 by 2 as static trunk ports. And after that, then I disabled the DTP negotiation by typing in switch port no negotiate. And then I also created a VLAN 100 and gave the same name as native. And finally, I specified that both the trunk ports should be using the native VLAN as 100. So let me go for the next one. Step 2, it says that secure unused switch ports. Shut down all unused switch ports on SW1. On SW1, create a VLAN 999 and name it as black hole. Of course, the configured name must match the requirement exactly. Okay. Move all unused switch ports to the black hole VLAN. So let me click on SW1 first. And here, first, let me create the VLAN. It will be easier for me. VLAN 999. And the name should be the exact name that is shown here, black hole. So that is created. And what it says is shut down all unused switch ports. Now to find out how to do that, or what are the ports that are still not being used, go to your addressing table. You can see here on switch 1, F0 by 1 and F0 by 2, F0 by 10, F0 by 24 are being used. Of course, Z0 by 1, Z0 by 2 ports are already configured as trunk ports and we are already using them. So all the ports remaining can be configured and or can be shut down and then added to the black hole VLAN. For that, what I'm going to do is interface range F0 by 3 till 9, right? So you can see here in the table, 1 and 2 are done, 10 is done. So 3 to 9, comma, F0 by 10 is being used and 24 is being used. So 11 till 23. So these are all the ports that are currently not being used on switch 1. So go there, and then what I can do is I can actually type in switch port access VLAN 999, enter, and then shut down, and then shut down. I can do that. So this is what it's being asked. You can see here on switch 1, you create a VLAN 999, which I did, and then name it as black hole, which I once again did, and shut down all the unused ports on SW1. I did the same thing. Move all unused switch ports to the black hole VLAN. That's what I just did now here. So what I do is switch port access VLAN 999. So these are all my unused switch ports on my switch SW1. So what did I do is I actually shut them down and then I moved them to the VLAN 999, which I just named as black hole, which I just created on this. So that's it for step 2. Let me move on to step 3. So it's saying that implement port security. Okay. Activate port security on all the active access ports on switch SW1. So configure the active ports to allow a maximum of 4 MAC addresses to be learned on the ports. Okay. Maximum 4, I can specify it. And it's also saying that for port F0 by 1, you statically configure the MAC address of PC using port security. Okay. And it is also saying Configure each access port so that it will automatically add the MAC addresses learned on the port to the running configuration. Yes, we can do that as well. Configure the port security violation mode to drop packets from MAC addresses that exceed the maximum and generate a syslog entry, but not disable the ports. Yes, we can do all of these things, no issues. So let me start with the first thing. So here what I need to do is I need to activate port security on all the access ports on switch 1. If you remember, what are all the switch access ports? F0 by 122, F0 by 10, and F0 by 24. So let me write it down. Interface range F0 by 122, comma F0 by 10, comma F0 by 24. So these are all the access ports on SW1, right? So let me see what to do here. Enter. What he says is activate port security. So first, in order to do that, what I need to do is I need to specify them as access switch port mode access, enter, switch port security. That's all, port security. And he also says that we need to configure these ports to allow a maximum of 4 MAC addresses. So for that, what I need to do is port security maximum. And how many MAC addresses? 4. So I need to simply type in 4. So switch port security maximum 4. I continuously use the tab command so that it takes some time for me to, rather than typing each and everything. You can also do the same practice as well because it autofills the command. So after that, it's saying that for ports F0 by 1, you need to statically configure the MAC address. So interface F0 by 1. How do I know the MAC address of the particular PC1? It's not given here. So let me go to PC1 here. This is the SW1. This is the F0 by 1 port and this is the PC1. So let me click the PC that is connected, go into command prompt and then type in IP config space all. You can see here, the first thing that I get is the physical address, which is your MAC address. So let me copy this. You just need to type in IP config space /all. That's all. You will get all the information. Okay. Just copy this, come to your switch configuration again. And now I have to manually add this particular MAC address to this particular port, F0 by 1 port. So for that, I'll use the up arrow again, port security. I can type in MAC address. Let me put the tab MAC address. And here, use my mouse to paste it, to paste the MAC address here. Okay. And press enter. This is how I did it. So this is the one which I just did. I actually configured manually the MAC address of the PC to the F0 by 1 port. It is also saying that configure each active access port so that it will automatically add the MAC addresses learned on the port to the running configuration. In that case, what I need to do is I need to just enter the same command which I entered earlier. So these are all my access ports. Interface range F0 by 122, F0 by 10, F0 by 24. Enter. Switch port security. Rather than entering the MAC address, what I can do is I can type in switch port security MAC address sticky. This is the one which will automatically capture it and will add it to the running configuration. Okay. And it is also saying that security mode. Okay. Violation mode, switch port security, switch port security violation. The mode which actually creates a syslog entry and it will not disable the port is restrict. Okay, this is how you need to do it. So you need to specify the violation mode as restrict. So I'm pressing it. So that is for your step 3. So we did each and every one here. It's saying that you need to configure the port security violation mode to drop the packets from MAC addresses that exceed the maximum, and also generate a syslog entry, but it should not disable the port. So this is what it does. That means it should not shut down the port. So configure DHCP snooping. So configure the trunk ports. Let me move on to this is the step 4. Configure DHCP snooping. Configure the trunk ports on SW1 as trusted ports. Limit the untrusted ports on SW1 to 5 DHCP packets per second. Okay. So what are the trunk ports on SW1? Interface range G 0 by 122. Enter. For me to configure DHCP snooping, it's very simple. IP DHCP snooping. That's all. Okay. And for me, it is saying that configure the trunk ports on SW1 as trusted ports. For that, what I need to do is IP DHCP snooping trust. This is the command that I need to say. That means I'm trusting these two ports. I need to mention that IP DHCP snooping trust. And it is also saying that limit the untrusted ports on SW1 to 5 DHCP packets per second. So all the remaining ports that we have, let me say, I can use the same thing here also. Interface range of 0 by 1 to 2, all these ports that we are using, they're all untrusted ports. And it is saying you need to mention it as the maximum number of DHCP packets that can be sent from these ports should be limited to 5. For that, the command that we need to write is IP DHCP snooping limit rate 5. Only 5 packets per second are accepted now. Okay, so that is what we need to do there. And okay, it is also assigning on SW2. Let me go to switch 2, move over to switch 2, and it is asking me saying that. Okay, let me come to the global configuration mode, enable DHCP snooping globally. So for that, in order to enable the DHCP snooping globally, the command is IP DHCP snooping. That's all. And it is also saying that we need to enable DHCP snooping globally and for VLANs. So for that, once again, IP DHCP snooping VLAN. What are the VLANs that we need to add for this snooping? 99. That's it. So I'm sure that we completed step 4 as well. Okay, let me see towards the end what happens. So let me move on to step 5. Configure PortFast and BPDU guard. Okay, these are the two spanning tree things that we studied in our earlier modules. Enable PortFast on all access ports that are used on SW1. So let me go to SW1. So once again, rather than typing, I'm just using the up arrow. These are all the access ports: F0 by 1 to 2, F0 by 10, F0 by 24. Okay, so let me press here, and it's saying enable PortFast. So for that, spanning tree, I can always use the tab spanning tree PortFast. That's all. Spanning tree PortFast. Okay, and it is also asking me to enable the BPDU guard. For that, spanning tree BPDU guard. Sorry, BPDU guard enable. This is the command that we need to give for this. Enable the BPDU guard on all access ports that are in use on SW1. So enter. Okay, so SW1 is done, and it is asking me to go to SW2 so that all access ports will use PortFast by default. Okay, so let me click on SW2. So the command which makes to enable PortFast by default is pretty simple. Once again, spanning tree, I use a tab B PortFast default. Enter. So this is how we actually enable switch security. So you can see here we all the 5 objectives, the completion. Yes, the completion says 100% here. That means we did everything perfectly. So to just cap it off, if you can see clearly the different objectives that are being set here. We created a secure trunk. We also secured the unused switch ports. We implemented port security. We actually configured a switch such that it will only accept 4 MAC addresses, a maximum of 4 MAC addresses, and whatever MAC addresses are learned dynamically, they are actually added to the running configuration. And then we also enabled IP DHCP snooping. The commands are pretty basic. You can simply type down IP DHCP snooping. And if you want to limit, once again in IP DHCP snooping, we have to mention whether they are trusted ports or not. So if we actually mentioned the trunk ports as the trusted ports by using the commands IP DHCP snooping trust. And then we limited to DHCP packets as 5 packets per second by using this command. And then onwards, we went to part 5 where we configured the PortFast and BPDU guard. This PT activity looks simple, but you have to have some practice on this. If you practice these commands, it should be much more easier for you. So thank you for watching, and hopefully you understood these concepts well. Thank you. Good luck.